Rukus Avenue Radio.
Hello, I'm Sagar Shah, and you're listening to Rukus Avenue Radio.
Namaste and hello, Rukus Avenue Radio listeners. This is your correspondent, Priyadarshini G, and we're here for part 2 of our Diwali special. Please welcome a really special guest. He is the founder and CEO of Nature's Guru, Sagar Shah. Welcome to the show, Sagar.
Hey, Priyadarshini, thank you for having me.
Of course, it's a wonderful occasion to celebrate Diwali at Rukus Avenue Radio. We are live on Hollywood Boulevard at Dash Radio to celebrate not just the occasion of Diwali where we celebrate righteousness over evil, but just kind of developing our own consciousness and getting away from ignorance, right? So that's the emphasis of today.
Definitely. Looking forward to the upcoming Diwali season. It's the festive holidays, and it's great to be out here in sunny California and Hollywood, and I can see the shining stars right in front of me.
Oh, it's always a great vibe at Dash Radio because we have the indoor-outdoor experience in the studio, and we have such an amazing intrigue today because of our Diwali special. People are walking by, waving, and I love how Indian culture, specifically our Hindu traditions, are being recognized by Western media now, and I see it on the calendar, which I never saw growing up, Diwali ever on a Western Gregorian calendar. So it's a good feeling to be finally accepted for ourselves and just celebrating ourselves, and for that to be accepted in Western society too.
I totally couldn't agree with you more. I mean, especially when I think about Diwali, I'm just thinking about all of Pan-India and how everybody gets together through the parties, meeting with family and friends, the elaborate decorative food and decorations. I mean, it's really such a nice blessing to have grown up here in the U.S., be American born, but still not only be able to celebrate Diwali as us Indians and South Asians, but more so now as an American to see other folks adapting and understanding our culture and religion. It's just really fantastic to be able to see how Diwali's like really evolved out here in the U.S.
Absolutely. We finally have the Diya lighting or lamp lighting ceremony celebrated at the White House as well.
Really cool.
And I remember that was being inaugurated during President Obama's term. And it's great because growing up, we had to go to school during Diwali, and it was really hard to get that religious day off or to tell, teachers like, hey, it's our religious holiday. We really can't be here, or we want to be at home. So slowly and steadily, I think we're making progress towards getting that. I think Indian Americans, I forget the statistics, but we're a huge part of the American population. I think the fourth largest, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, we've made our waves into Western society, and we should also kind of want to get Diwali as a day off for us to celebrate at home and otherwise. But anyway, I'm going to go in for our Rukus Avenue Radio listeners and give a little background about Sagar. So Sagar Shah is the founder and CEO of Nature's Guru, like we mentioned in the intro. He was a part of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Alumni. He was a part of the Forbes Next 1,000 Honoree Class of 2021 and awarded the top 100 Global Food and Beverage Leaders by the GSAF, and speaker for the Specialty Food Association. That's a wonderful repertoire, Sagar. And please tell us more about your journey and your background.
Sure. So I started the company about 10 years back. I would say I've always been an entrepreneur, had this entrepreneurial mindset. And even when I had started the company 10 years back, I was like, what do I really have a passion for? And I'll tell you, I'm a foodie at heart.
Aren't we? Desi's all.
Yes.
I mean, how could we not be?
With all those garam masalas and spices, and we have such a great, beautiful heritage of food coming from India. And I thought, being so connected with the culture out here, both as an American and Indian, I really want to be able to bring a piece of something back from India and be able to share it here with what I initially just assumed to be as with my family and friends. But luckily I've been fortunate enough to where Nature's Guru has expanded beyond that. So that's been really great. But, the journey started 10 years ago, and I just told myself, it's 2008. I studied finance, very standard cookie cutter. A lot of other South Asians can relate. And, it was a blessing in disguise when the recession happened in 2008. It really gave me an opportunity to step outside the the workforce and see, you know, what am I passionate about? And the first thing I told myself is, let me just go make a trip to India. You know, it's the motherland. I'm sure if I stay there long enough, I'll find something to do. So that was really the initial thoughts. And then when I went out there, I had a chance, an opportunity to visit some of the tea gardens in India, which is really, really spectacular. I mean, being in LA and dealing with the daily traffic and then going out there, it's really just all about peace and serenity out there. It's a very friendly vibe. So I'm there indulging myself in the tea gardens, just learning about the entire tea trade. And it really came to me that says, you know, there are a lot of working professionals, that not all entrepreneurs, and most of them that do work at these big tech firms. Most of the things that they have in their office pantries does not have tea, does not especially have chai. And I know, as some of you other listeners out there, people need their chai fix, and it can't just happen in the morning and that's it, right? Traditionally in India, when I was there, you know, people sort of drank it throughout the course of the day.
6 times a day.
6 times a day.
And then, of course, with the chai comes the samosas or the mithai or everything else that makes you gain weight. But yes, chai is the essential kind of collective that unites people.
Definitely. It's interesting you mentioned uniting, because even when I'm visiting the tea gardens and different corporate offices, manufacturing plants, you know, it's really just about, sir, here's your chai. Here's your chai. And wherever you go, somebody, whether, you know, you have a bladder issue or not, they're just constantly serving you up the chai. And it's not so much just the hospitality of it, but it really, like you said earlier, like chai outside of a beverage, I think really helps connect people that are enjoying it together, especially like a family or an extended Indian family and a morning breakfast table, which I really got accustomed to with my family out there, which was a blessing because, you know, being an entrepreneur and just sort of having to grind daily, you really sort of take it for granted, the opportunity to be able to spend time with your family, and especially when it's on a morning breakfast table. And believe me, the hotter the cup, the longer you're there in the table.
The hotter the tea also. I agree. And I think that we talk about the unification process that chai brings because there's such a wide variety of chai that's available in India. And when I used to go to the family trips, we went to Darjeeling one time. And as you guys know, listeners, that Darjeeling has many different tea estates, and the tea trade originates from there for the most part throughout India. And there's so many different arrays, like the Darjeeling Oolong Chai tea is very specific to that region. And I remember my parents were packing it in bags and bags. And I'm just like, oh my God, we're going to get caught at the airport. Daisies never do, but we're just more smart about it. And I'm like, how are you going to drink all this tea? Like, where is it going to go? But that chai, like I think about 4 or 5 bags, was not all meant for us. They were giving it out as gifts. And everybody was so grateful because of Darjeeling, like oolong chai tea. It's like the different tea leaves. And it's the total respect of the process that it takes to cultivate that tea and the labor and the love that goes into making it. So tell us more about that experience and what was it like to see it instead of just to drink it?
Sure. I mean, it's hard to put in words. I would definitely highly recommend for those that do get a chance to visit the motherlands to definitely take a day or two to visit the tea gardens. We have a few fabulous ones actually scattered all throughout India, whether it's Nilgiris down in the south. You also have, like near Darjeeling, have Assam teas. So I've had the opportunity and pleasure to be able to visit multiple tea gardens all throughout India. And I've actually learned something very interesting is every section of India, whether it's a different language, a different culture, a different Indian religion, they all are bounded by tea and chai, but none of their chai or tea tastes anything similar to one another, which I found which was very interesting because once I started promoting the brand and products in the grocery stores, they're like, Sagar, have you ever heard of a billboard effect? And I'm like, well, what's that? I said, you have this one product that you've brought in and you're really banking your company on the fact that this one product goes successful. So why don't you create different flavors and varieties? So again, I go back to India and realize we just have a bouquet of spices readily available. And whether it's a saffron, whether it's a lemongrass, whether it's the bouquet of spices found in a masala chai, and wherever you go, different India and parts of India, you'll see that they have their own blend. And you know, with chai, it's really, although it's a tedious process, you really are just infusing milk and tea and variety of spices and sugar. So by the time you it's kind of like a jambalaya for the people out here in the South, right? So it's really a big stew of different flavorful ingredients. And that was one of the really cool things I saw while I was visiting the tea gardens. It's like, hey, I want some chai. And they're like, well,
what kind?
What kind? I'm like, oh, okay, well. So I'm just spending hours and hours, you know, formulating different spices and flavor profiles. And lo and behold, I then understood what my buyers meant by, hey, when you bring a product and brand, try not to be a one-trick pony and one-product pony. So that allowed me to really give me the ability to really expand the line. So now, like, when you do go into potentially an Indian grocery store, an American, you know, natural organic grocery store, you'll kind of see like a banner of different flavors. And I'm really proud about that because it really, just like how the brand is with the flavor profile and assortment we have, I feel like that's more of a true representation of India, because although we are all Indians, I'd say each and every one of them are so unique with what they bring as an Indian. And Diwali is definitely one of those holidays where they all get together.
Absolutely. I think you touched on some key points right there where you mentioned people in the business background might have, first wrong thing is they challenged you. Second thing, they underestimated the Indian history and lineage of tea because they are unaware. And again, going back to Diwali, which is to eradicate ignorance that we have, and that includes with our own histories. The British tea consumption came from their first excuse to form business with India before colonizing it was through the tea trade. And the culture of British tea comes from the Indian tradition of having chai, which people don't know about. And I think it's important for people in business to also, again, not underestimate the Indian traditions and the diversity that we bring to, I think, every aspect of life, whether that is the languages that we speak, which also translates into the chai that we drink. I remember my family's from New Delhi, so I remember sitting there and one of our family friends like, oh, there's kava. And I said, what's that? And she said, oh, it's a chai. And I was like, we should want to try it. I said, okay, go ahead. And for those people that don't know, kava is a saffron-based tea from Kashmir. And correct. I had it, and I was going through, like, you know, when you go to India, you have some weather amalgamation issues, and it really reinvigorated my senses, and it was just like the perfect medicinal properties that it had. So what was your favorite type of chai, if I may ask? If you had to pick, let's say, your top three.
Sure. I'll tell you this, is as a lover of chai, it's hard to say I like this one versus that, but since I do have to pick, and we have about 20 different flavors, but personally, my favorite has always been, since the day I launched it till today, has been the lemongrass chai. And I'll tell you why. So traditionally with chai, if there was a top three, I've seen whether it's a masala chai, a cardamom chai, or a ginger chai, whether you go to someone's home, whether you're at an Indian restaurant, you're typically served one of these three chai flavors. So, like there's a saying, you always want something you can never have. And lemongrass isn't as readily available, so I thought the uniqueness of that, and it also brings about just this fantastic aroma. Even before you have your first sip, you're already feeling in your body, it's like a soulful experience. Like you had mentioned earlier, invigorating. For me, I'll go with soulful. But yeah, it really just brings out all the senses even before you've had your first cup. And then after you drink it, the best part about it is comparatively to at least all the flavors that we have, nutritionally it's the best. It has about 7 to 8% daily value of iron in it. Wow. So although I'm drinking chai, I would say as an American, you could probably translate it to somebody going to Jamba Juice and getting their wheatgrass shot. But now at least it's in the form of a chai, right? So it has a lot of iron content, which is really great. And the fact that most people don't make it when they serve it, it's really nice sort of like to keep that one special, box
special
in your
occasion.
cupboard.
No, that's wonderful. And since we talked about corporate value of like chai companies, what do you think about the chai tea latte that's been around at Starbucks? What is your take on that?
You know, I'll tell you, every product, every brand always has a marketplace, right? And always has a customer base. And the one Starbucks specifically serves is actually a vanilla chai. So of all the aforementioned spices that I mentioned, vanilla is also one of them that we carry as well. And being in the food business, you know, it doesn't just stop with the word vanilla. You know, is it from Madagascar? You know, what type of vanilla is it? And that really also, in something as simple as a chai, can really just change the entire profile of the cup. Now, I will say this. I do love the fact that Starbucks, McDonald's, and a few other places have these chai lattes, because what it's really doing is helping more of us as Americans get a better feel and understanding of chai, Indian culture, what it is to drink not just a British tea, but having it infused with Indian milk and spices, and now this is sort of our recipe to the world. So I'm all for it. In fact, when somebody actually tells me they went to McDonald's or Starbucks, I'm keen to just slip them a box of mine and say, hey,
try this at home.
Why don't you try this at home?
The one thing you can't try at home, kids. So another concept is the definition of chai tea latte. I feel like those are, first of all, chai and tea are synonymous. They actually mean the same thing. Chai does mean tea. And so for the Western concept of defining it for their target audience, who people who don't know what chai is, and labeling it with a latte as their signature drink, I feel a certain type of cultural appropriation was at play for that.
For sure.
But I do see the larger aspect of trying to cater a different taste, whether that is a vanillified version of chai, to the Western audiences across the globe. And it's not just, you know, obviously in America. But I also do see that trickling down into the food that we see on television, particularly if you go on like Food Network or any of the mainstream food channels, you see a lot more of Indian dishes. Like I just flipped the channels and I saw aloo gobi being made. Not the best recipe, might I add, but the effort is what is important. And you see that American audiences are more perspective to flavor and spice. And the originators of chai and spice came from India with the spice trade. So how do the spices affect or change the flavor of tea, in your opinion?
Sure. I think it totally changes the entire complexion of the tea or the chai in either case, because now chai, as we know, is tea with milk or milk tea. But even with tea itself, sometimes as now people are vegan and just prefer to have a simple cup of black tea or green tea without the chai, even those teas in the form of tea bags or loose teas have chock full of either spices and or herbs for medicinal benefit purposes. It's like right now the big trend is detox tea.
Gosh.
Some people that have trouble sleeping in the evenings, right? They'll have like a sleepy time or a bedtime tea. Now, and tea itself also has grown not just from India itself, but whether you go Africa, China, what you're really starting to see is the Indian trend of the tea and the spices and the various combinations you can make with it, whether it's for the purpose of being flavorful or possibly the medicinal benefits that others are going for. It's really helped change, I would say, globally the perspective of tea. And most importantly, I'll say, just generally speaking of tea and chai, is I think worldwide there has been now an acceptance of, we knew we were supposed to be drinking caffeine-induced coffee, which is also the #1 drug in the world, by the way. And we have now seen, as people are now approaching this sort of healthy mindset, that they're trying to reduce their caffeine content. And for that, they're also reducing down their coffee. And we're seeing this huge growth in everything and anything, whether it's tea related or whether it's chai related, because it has such a lesser caffeine content. And you're also getting the different benefits that comes associated with that beverage. So I'm super excited to see what the future holds and the different combinations of things that people come out with. I mean, I'm not truly all convinced that if I have a chamomile sleepy tea, it's going to put me to bed, because I probably still have about 50 emails to go through at 11 at night. But yeah, it's really cool to see that how our culture is adapting and being influenced worldwide in an array of different places and things.
Absolutely. When you speak about the medicinal properties of chai, I go back to when I used to have a cold when I was little. And my parents, as we know, we're not, according to like our traditions and culture, you're not supposed to have dairy, specifically milk, because it further inflames your respiratory system, which is already kind of suffering. So my dad would call it, okay, I'll just give you some chai without the milk, and he would call it liquor. And obviously there's no alcohol involved, but that was the word that I guess our parents' generation used for black tea, or the actual just the herb quality of the water being boiled and adding spices like cloves or cardamom and cinnamon to further expedite that healing process. And also we just spoke earlier in a different interview about haldi doodh, which I don't know if you're familiar with, which is like the turmeric milk, and that's also been commercialized into golden chai lattes.
Golden milk. Correct.
Golden milk. And I was like, that was the nastiest drink I've ever had to drink when I was little, because again, it was infused with spices. It was medicine. It wasn't meant to be a chai infused with turmeric and everything to taste good with honey. It was meant to cure when kids naturally when they're sick, instead of being kind of reliant on like cough syrups and things like that, which we also see many studies of like drug addiction and things like that. So people have kind of reinvigorated the Ayurvedic benefits of spices and chai. And so now that you said that you're raised here in America, which is a coffee predominant culture. I love coffee. I love my chai, but I do love my coffee. So no biases there. Did you grow up drinking more chai or more coffee?
I'll tell you what I ended up doing, and I would say it's very a standardized Indian thing to do, I would say, is I first decided to go into a corporate job, Morgan Stanley, finance, and as soon as I walk into the office and go straight to the office pantry, what do you see there? It's either a Mr. Coffee machine or a Breville machine. And I thought, well, hey, this is free, right? So
capitalism at work.
So although I grew up, whether it be at home with my parents serving me cha, or when I visited family back home in India, again serving me cha, that was sort of all I knew that was out there. And then the whole definition of free came into the picture, and it's like, well, I think I could get used to coffee. And that was really sort of while I was growing up in the workforce, not only what I saw, but I saw with a lot of other professionals. It's like, we're gonna basically drink what is being served and readily available to us. And the last thing you want to ever see is a brown guy in a corporate office, steeping the milk and brewing and going through the whole tedious process, inside of a Google or Amazon or Microsoft corporate office. So I was like, well, that's really what my angle is. And I want to go to India and find something that can be like a quick, easy solution to be able to make cha. So I basically created an instant cha, which is like sort of the bread and butter, the foundation of the company, is for this reason of they're not changing what they're serving in a corporate office setting. So why not make it easier and find a solution for not just Indians, but Americans as well, that sort of, hey, even if I know how to make chai, do I really have time to sort of take my 30-minute lunch break, 1 hour or so be it, to go and spend 20 minutes on making, what really is the beverage they want? It's just either not free or it's too time consuming. So I thought, hey, let's go ahead and make an instant chai, just throw it out there. Gave it to a lot of doctor friends, dentists, just any working professional. 9 to 5. Yes, any 9 to 5, any W-2. I was like, here's a box, let me know if,
help you get through your day.
Yeah, basically. And that's the thing with cha is it does have caffeine in it, but it's considerably content-wise lower than coffee. So you can sort of have it throughout the course of the day.
6 times.
6 times, yes. As that's what it's intended for. It's that little nice, small pick-me-up.
Yep. Absolutely. No, I think that those are key points in why the fast-paced urban culture does not have chai as a refreshing drink or pick-me-up, as you speak, because the process of making it does not work in a Western society, whereas in India, you have people in the cafeterias making fresh chai and delivering it to you at your desk during your break, which is, wow. I wish we could have that during it. People hear your job, like, yeah, wait, great. And you can readily just take it because, again, it's available, it's free, quote unquote, which is the points that you spoke about. So if that's your next product that you're launching, what can the mass media or people, where can they get that, or what's the next process, or what's your next step in the product, basically?
Sure. So what I'm really passionate about is a new set of products that I've recently launched, and they're vegan chai. So it's the same concept of instant, and a lot of the drinkers that were already previously drinking the product, now whether it's because of personal reasons, health reasons, or just the fact that they want to shift to veganism and be able to have non-dairy. Now I've created a set of products where now you just add it to your own, Oatly. You can have it with a lot of different type of vegan milk, plant-based options that are there, and now you can still have chai.
Yes.
So really, really excited about bringing that on board. Just had a ton of customers and followers that says, hey, we've changed our dietary habit, but we're just so in love with this product and the ease and use and convenience of it. Well, sure, here you go. So, and the great thing about this product is I personally, and I shouldn't be saying this on the radio, but I absolutely hate vegan chai. I've so been accustomed to drinking it with the milk, especially the milk that comes from India, which is a total
It's a different
game
flavor.
altogether.
You can't get that here.
So that was one of the things where I was like, I could go to my parents, family, friends, and say, I have some tea here. I just picked it up from the fresh tea plantations from India, and can you make me some chai in the morning? But the thing is, they're gonna go run to their local grocery store, pick up the milk that's available here, and I'm gonna be like, well, this isn't authentic. This is not what I'm accustomed to drinking, even though you know how to make the chai, but you fall short on the key ingredient, which is the milk. And as you can tell, it's a game changer.
Yes.
And that was sort of what I wanted to bring out here. It's like, we have this milk and spices, and there's this amazing flavor profile I think I've created. And now you want me to take out the milk? Come again, right? But the thing is we just wanted to be, have products that are just sort of available to all types of race, religion, people, dietary restrictions. So over the course of the years, I would say we've just actually started taking out more and more ingredients and just kept it even more simple. But that's really what I've seen trend-wise. It's like the saying goes, people are just trying to cut out the fat.
I think we cut out the fat without compromising on the content, right?
Agreed.
And I see going through Desi events growing up, whether it's Durga Puja or Diwali Melas or whatever, chai was readily available in these big canisters of either pre-made chai, which is the milk is already boiled and mixed with the tea leaves, and then you add your sugar separately because diabetes is rare. But other than that, I've also seen self-service kind of situations where the chai is kind of in a canister, pretty good, and then you add your own milk. Of course, it's not the boiled effect with the masalas, but it's the pre-made tea with the masalas already infused, so it's like the black liquor tea or the black tea, plus you mix it with non-dairy milk or whatever. So I've seen different amalgamations of that throughout different events, which I think is good because that means we're progressing. So tell us, Sagar, where can our Rukus Avenue Radio listeners find you and Nature's Guru products online? Please plug in your socials.
Sure. So you guys, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, at Nature's Guru, hashtag Nature's Guru. If you're looking to purchase the product, highly recommend going to our website, naturesguru.com. And if you got Amazon Prime, it's a top Amazon 4,000 product nationally. It's Amazon's Prime Choice.
Congratulations.
Free shipping, so you can grab it on there as well.
See, that's how you incentivize it and go with the capitalism and you get the product out there. But thank you so much, Sagar.
But support the small business by on our website.
Absolutely. And I think it takes our own basic community to uplift one another, and that's what Diwali is about. So thank you, Sagar, for coming on our Diwali special part 2. And we look forward to connecting with you in the future. And we'll definitely encourage our viewers to check you out online. So check out Nature's Guru. But Sagar, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Priyadarshini, and thank you, Radio Avenue listeners. Hope you got something out of this. Wanted to wish all the folks out there a happy Diwali.
Thank you so much. All right, Rukus Avenue radio listeners, this is Priyadarshini G, your correspondent, signing off with Sagar for our part 2 Diwali special. Take care until next time.
Bye, guys.
Happy Diwali.
Rukus Avenue Radio.